Good evening and welcome to Sports Guys Iowa. We're doing our week 3 pick'em show. It's been a lot of fun, right, Brandon, to get this thing started. And tonight I think we're going to pick about 8 games.
Yeah,
So,
I'm having a blast doing it, and unfortunately, no Jay tonight. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Jay is tangling with his daughter Aubrey, from what I thought he said. So,
yeah, he said
she,
Jay and Silent Ob. She's not being silent tonight.
well, she's 3 years old and she has certainly priority, just like you with Vincent. So I've spent all week myself up in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I just wanted to share, Ghost. Last night I went to my neighborhood bar where I grew up. It's called Chet Namels. It's in Bernewood, Wisconsin. All
Hmm.
my relatives came out, and I had to get up and head back for a meeting in Dubuque at noon. By the way, I made it all the way from northern Wisconsin to there by noon. But they were serving me 16-ounce $1.50 Miller High Lifes. No joke. So
That sounds like it's incredible. The champagne of beers for $1.50.
$1.50, 16 ounces, and they gave some of them to me for free because I'm a local boy. So anyway, I think I look pretty good for going through that, and super excited to get into the picks here.
I would say
So
so. You're doing great.
yep. So let's get started. Hey, before we get too far in, last week was really interesting. We're going to put it in an article. Um, but man, we had some incredible games. Let's just talk about a couple of them. I'll go back one just so that we can talk about them. Co played River Falls, number 13. They have a quarterback there for River Falls named Blaha, who is, I know it's a crazy name, but he's probably I would say, the headliner for the player of the year. He put up 600 yards of offense by himself. Now, you would think as a quarterback, you're like, okay, that's probably about maybe 500 yards chucking the ball, 100 yards running, maybe, right, Brandon?
You'd
He was
think.
350 throwing, 240 running, and he ran the ball 24 times. They put up 59, I think. What was the score of that game? It was
It's
yeah, they put
59-47.
yeah, they put up 59 to 47 on Co in a crazy game. Co had like 700 yards of offense and lost. I think it speaks well for the Cohawks. And I mean, that's a top team. If that quarterback stays healthy, they've got a chance of winning it. I mean, they're playing in the power. Um, and then Central beat Randolph Macon 10-0 in a real slobber knocker of a game in Pella and a real hot day. But they pitched a shutout, and Wartburg pitched a shutout against Stout 16-0. So it was a really good weekend for the ARC. And I think it kind of positions them for 2 playoff spots. Whoever wins the conference, and then if Co Central can have maybe come in with 1 or 2 losses, they have a real shot. So it was a really good weekend for the ARC. And
Yeah,
then,
I was gonna say I don't think I could have went any better, honestly, JD. Between I think that's probably you hope all three of your big teams can win. But I mean for them to put up that fight, Co against on the road at River Falls, and they dug themselves a pretty early hole. They were down, if I'm not mistaken, they were down 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. So
yeah, they
for
were.
them to bounce back, Brady Kelly, you talked about Blaha Kelly for the Cohawks. He put up triple digits on the ground, and I think he threw for 500 or something like that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. He
So
he put up he put up over 500 all-purpose yards
yeah,
himself. I mean, it's just an insane game. So, and Wartburg pitched a shutout. I don't think they're getting credit for it. It was interesting. They kind of went down in the rankings, if you can imagine that, for pitching a shutout against Stout. Now, I
right.
know Stout's in that same conference. It's River Falls, and they're picked sixth, but Wartburg stoned them, and they
Right.
still went down. The rating systems love the Wisconsin teams. I mean, I think they got
They
5 in the top 10.
they're
They
the
got
SEC
lacrosse.
of Division Three.
They are. They are. But the ARC did really well against them. Dubuque lost to Platteville, who's like the third team in the country, the
Yep.
top team in that same conference, 56 to 27. It's a really tough game. I mean, whoever does Dubuque's schedule really should reconsider it because man, they schedule their non-conference really hard. But um, that's a rivalry game. They put up a pretty good fight. I think it positions them well if they can get going. Simpson and Dubuque, we're going to see if they're going to rise. And Central, they don't put up pretty offensive numbers so far, but they're pretty solid defensively. So I think we're going to learn a lot over the next few weeks. I think,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you and I were talking before this, we think Wartburg, and Central are 1, 2, 3. You got to put Wartburg one because they win it every year. But the other two have legit shots. And Simpson and UD catch the right games, they might be right there. And after that, I think there's a fall off. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I mean, there's definitely layers to the ARC. It's in recent years it's been Wartburg, Central, and Co. Typically Wartburg's your team to beat. I mean, you saw some classics last year from all three of them. They all played really well. And I do got to tip my cap to Central making me eat a little bit of crow. I said I didn't know if their defense could keep up with Randolph Macon, and then and they come, the rumor was high-powered offense. That was kind of the thing. Will the Yellow Jackets slide up the scoreboard again? And then they couldn't find, anything. Credit to the Dutch. I wonder, JD, I hate to put the cart in front of the horse because we're just now getting into ARC play, but, it makes me wonder if those three teams split, each beat each other, 3 1-loss teams.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting. I did a lot of research on it. Even the WIAC has trouble getting 3 teams. That's the River Falls group.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 is, I think if you're not playing in the Wisconsin League, 3 is unrealistic. But if they all end up tying, things can get crazy. So,
conversation I think we had.
Yep, I think they really positioned themselves for 2, which is great. And hey, before we go on, you predicted Grinnell was going to play a slobber knocker of a game against Beloit. They ended up, what was the score of that game?
It was 24-0. I mean,
24-0.
Definitely ugly on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, how many yards was it? You said Grinnell held them to. I mean, it was a rock fight.
Yeah, Grinnell held them to under 35 yards of total offense. I had to check it a number of times. They gave up 65 yards passing, but they had negative 30 yards running. So you talk about a game, and they put up less than 200 yards of offense on Grinnell. So it's field position and defense. If you wanted an old wing T game to watch, that was a defensive masterpiece. For a while there, I think during I was watching the feed, I wondered if Iowa was playing because they were just daring them to. They were winning with defense and punting, but it was a fantastic game.
Yeah, 69 rushing attempts from Grinnell on that one. Holy cow.
69
for just a shade under 3 yards a pop. And you talk about, man, Beloit, they were credited with 28 rushing attempts and net. Goodness gracious. Yeah, net of negative 32.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Just going backwards. So credit to the Pioneers. Old Coach Barnes had them rolling. So
yeah, he did. The other ones that we'll go through so we can get into our picks. Drake, we didn't pick them last week, but man, they played South Dakota State. Tough.
Played them well, yeah.
And they look good. Grandview looked, it's interesting. Grandview looks like Grandview always does, very strong, but Drake looking so good made me think, wow, Upper Iowa, probably a lot better. We were at that game. It was hard to gauge.
Yeah, right.
Upper Iowa just, they really pounded the team they played, the South Dakota Mines last week, covered by far. And that's one of the games we're going to pick. So I think Drake looking good made us both go, wow, Upper Iowa's, they're right there. And I also think Drake's got an opportunity to really take off in the Pioneer League.
you kind of said it too. You said, I believe you tweeted that, there's no Coach Woodley's not going to be happy with a moral victory. Like he doesn't go on moral victories, but to go up there and say, I think isn't South Dakota State like I think they're ranked number 1 or 2 in the
They are.
FCS. To go
They've
up
been
there
winning.
and keep it within 2 possessions, at the final game, and I could be wrong too. I'm kind of looking at the box score. Um, you know, that first game when they played Upper, Chase Spellman started, and we probably need to do a little bit more research on this, but they had a different quarterback playing too.
Yeah.
Drake did when you check out the box score.
They were down to their third string quarterback. They had two guys get hurt.
Yeah, I was going to
And
say, I
they
was like,
stayed in the game. They stayed
yeah.
in the game, which is that's a testament to them. So I thought that was an interesting game. We're going to pick William Penn. William Penn's off to a 3-0 start for the first time since maybe he shot the apple off his son's head, William Penn. So we're going to talk about them. So hey, let's dive into picks. But it was a fun week.
For sure.
So Wartburg at Simpson. This is in Indianola. Wartburg's only by 13. Um, it's interesting. They haven't been scoring a lot of points, but they've been, they've given up 7 points all year against Monmouth and UW Stout, two solid, really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tight spread. Simpson's got a freshman quarterback from Tucson, this Thorsten kid. They can put up points. But Ghost, I'm gonna go the Knights. I think they're kind of a little mad that they're winning and dropping in the polls. And I think they're going to be a little angry when they go into Simpson. I think Simpson's a quality club, but Wartburg is Wartburg. So I'm picking the Knights.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with you. I mean, coaches can say, and players can say that they don't care about rankings and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, deep down, it really does kind of piss them off, because I mean the standard's the standard there up in Waverly. So I'm gonna go that. I mean, 13. It's not a whole lot of points. I'm rolling with the Knights as well, and I wouldn't be shocked if that ended up being a 4 possession game because, like you said, getting into tough non-conference, getting into conference play, that they're going to keep wanting to make statements. So
Yeah, I agree, and I think offensively they're taking some criticism for not putting up points like they normally do,
sure,
and that tends to light a fire on a team that doesn't you really shouldn't be lighting
right,
fires for.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't want to piss those guys off.
Yep. So let's talk about the Battle of Dubuque. I believe Loras and University of Dubuque being there. You could walk there. Probably it's about a 2 beer walk, I would think, possibly. These are two rivals in town. UD's favored by 24. They've been lighting it up. Loras gave a much better game last week against Benedictine. They went on the road. They only lost by 7. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the Dewhawks. I just feel like they're going to stay within 3 scores. I think Dubuque will beat them. But Dubuque's coming off, playing a team that just really physically probably beat them up a little bit, like Jordan said last week.
Right.
So I just got a feeling Loras is going to stay in the game, and I'm going to pick the Dewhawks to cover.
I'm gonna go on the flip side. I'm gonna take the Spartans to cover. We mentioned kind of having a fire lit under them, and you can talk about the physicality. I totally see where you're coming from. But on the flip side as well, I think UD, showed week 1 that they could be, a team that could play with anyone on any given day, and I think they're going to be an opponent that will take care of the teams that they should take care of on paper. Maybe struggle against some of the upper echelon teams down the ARC. But I think crosstown rival, like you said, the 2 beer walk could be 3, depending on how fired up the students are. I'm going to go with the Spartans, though, defending the home turf.
Okay, sounds great. The next one, Grinnell's at Ripon, Wisconsin. They're favored by a lot. The Midwest Conference has a real division between the top and the bottom. So I certainly predict the Pioneers to win. But man, they're just ground and pound. I just don't see them covering 40. So Grinnell to win, Ripon to cover.
Yeah, 40 is an absurd number. When you first shared that with me, I'm
Yeah.
like, man, is Grinnell going to score 40 points this year after the way this offense is looking? I guess they did put up 23 last week, 24. So I should show them a little bit more love. But I'm going to go with Rip and covering, and Rip and cover or winning outright. I mean, they're the home team, and I do got to give a little tip of the cap, if I had one, to former Cohawk coach Jake Marshall, who's leading the regime up there at Ripon. I believe he's in his third year as head coach. He's won some games up there.
Yeah. It's a tough place
He
to win games.
yeah,
Yeah.
you'd love him, JD. As far as his game goes, I know that I believe he holds the touchdown record there at Ripon. I want to say they used to run the triple option up there. Not sure if
Yeah.
they run that anymore. They should. I think every team should run the triple option, but I digress there. But nevertheless, I'm gonna take the Red Hawks in this one, winning
Okay.
too.
All right. Well, good. Good. The next one, I had to check it a bunch. Lawrence, Wisconsin is a really not a quality squad. Cornell's off to an 0-2 start. I certainly think they're going to cover. I'm sorry, certainly going to win. Cornell's going to win, and I think they'll get Coach Ritchie. He'll get the team going in the right direction. They seem to be improving. It'll be game 3.
Mm-hmm.
But, the math shows that's a Grand Canyon of a spread. Lawrence is going to cover.
Yeah, man, I would love to. I would love to say Coach Ritchie and the boys are gonna cover. I mean, you look at last week, and I mean, Lawrence played Monmouth, who Monmouth. It's safe to assume they're probably top dog in the Midwest Conference.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah.
I was gonna say they got to be and they hung 78 on them. 78
Yeah, they
7 was their
lost.
score.
They covered a 70-point spread, so that's
Yeah,
probably why it's
but
so big.
that was a road game though. Cornell's traveling there. 61's a ton of points. I love the Rams big. But yeah, 61 is just too big of a number for me to get on there. I'm right there with you.
Yep, yep. And then let's go to our Peacocks. We were at their first game. They had a big bounce back last week against up in Fayette. They really pounded South Dakota School of Mines. They're back on track. We thought they were going to be a very quality team, especially now how good Drake looks.
Sure.
But Michigan Tech, it's up in Houghton, Upper Peninsula. That's a long way to go. My sister went to school there. When my sister went to school there to become an engineer, even us northern Wisconsin guys, thought that was too far to go to visit her. So, it's a long way, and they're number 24. So I really dove into this one. Upper Iowa's got that number 7. He can really play on the outside. I love the way they play. I think they're going to cover, but I think just the distance, 24, it's the biggest game in Michigan Tech in a lot of years. I just think this is a game where they probably don't catch them. So I'm picking Upper Iowa to cover, but Michigan Tech to win.
Yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of box score checking here, JD, and just peeking the box score, going off same opponents. Michigan Tech played South Dakota Mines. It was 45-9. That was on the road. Upper played them in Fayette 58-14. So,
Well, maybe they got
yeah. I mean, just kind of going off the similar score. I mean, they might have that fire lit under him, having that little bit of a break after getting popped in the mouth by Drake. And you're right. Goodness, that number 7, Monte Morrow, I believe is his name.
Yes.
And that fella last week, he just lit up the box score. He had 8 for 216 and 4 scores. How do you stop that guy?
Yeah.
If you're Michigan Tech, I'm gonna say 18.5 is way too big of a number. I'm gonna take the Cox, and the homer in me is gonna say it's gonna be a close game. I don't know if I'm willing to say that the Cox are gonna win, but it's gonna be a good one. I see that's on Flow. I might have to pull up the old Flow machine and tune into that one.
Yeah, well, that would be one where maybe if you could bet on it, you'd sprinkle a money line. So
You bet I would.
Yeah. So, I mean, I certainly hope that the Upper Iowa can win, but that's a big game for them. Now let's go to Midland, Kansas against Morningside. Morningside had a week off, 27 and a half. I'm doing a lot of research on this. They've got maybe the best Iowa high school running back that we follow that's on the teams.
Mhm.
That I just think they're going to win, and I think they're going to cover. I think Morningside is probably the competitor for Grandview for the title, along with Benedictine. And I just feel like Morningside's going to get on a run, and I think they're going to cover and win this game going away.
Yeah, I mean, I think after that week that week one loss, the heartbreaker at Benedictine, I think that was definitely the I don't even know. You'd hate to say that the first game of the year really just sets a team off, but I think that pissed them off, and that
Yep.
woke up a beast. Um, you know, Midland's 2-1, nothing too crazy. I mean, they smacked around Waldorf. Waldorf, not a whole lot going on up there in the football department. 27 and a half. Not, I don't think that's too big of a number for Morningside. I think they're going to cover that and perhaps way more.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Grandview's at Baker, Kansas, who was, right in the top 25. We're going to talk about them a little bit in the next game because William Penn went there last week and pulled off a shocker.
Yeah.
And William Penn's 3-0. So Grandview's only favored by 18 and a half. Kind of took a deep dive. I just think they've been kind of holding back a little, I think offensively. They're being conservative. Hey, we're going to win. Working in a new coach. I think they're going to drive over to wherever Baker, Kansas is, and they're just going to, um, you know, uh, get out the wheat shocker and clear the field. I think they're going to win by more than 18.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at this. It looks like Baker is in Baldwin City. Look, they do have a subway. Um, and it looks like the Blackjack Battlefield. That looks to be some stuff, and it's just the south of Vinland. So I don't know. Maybe Vinland's got a T-shirt for Vincent. Maybe I'll have to make that trek down there. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, JD. I mean, William Penn beat him by 11 at at Baker, and I think 18 is feasible, more than feasible for Grandview. I that's going to be way more than 18 and a half. I wouldn't be surprised if that number doubled. So give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I agree with you. This last one was really interesting. We we've really started to cover the Statesmen from Oskaloosa, but they're off to a 3-0 start, which to me is putting them right on the edge of being ranked. They're playing Mid-American Nazarene, who's also 3-0. So this is a 3-0, 3-0 game in Oskaloosa, which I think is really great. William Penn's getting 6.5. I just feel like they're on a roll, and I think the Statesmen are going to win and cover and get to 4-0. And I think it's going to be a heck of a good year in Oskaloosa. Off to a great start, and I think they're really going to continue that through the year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm taking the Statesman. I've been kind of seeing a little bit some posts here and there on Twitter, following them, seeing some some highlights for some players. I believe I've seen this Quincy Cashless. I apologize if I butchered that.
Yep.
I see he gets after the quarterback. They got a lot of guys that just that fly around and get to the football. There's Jaden Reed's another freshman that's getting after things.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they're thinking big things going in William Penn. William Penn traditionally a little bit more of a basketball school.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I
We'll
mean,
talk about them a lot in basketball season, but you know,
yeah,
the other thing that kind of impressed me is I like head coaches that have a little bit of cockiness to them. a little bit of, hey, I'll show you.
Yep.
Um, their head coach after the game on last Saturday shared on Twitter a shot of himself in front of the Baker, you know, fans walking out, right? And he kind of
Yeah.
looks like if his doppelganger would be like Manny Diaz, the
I
coach of
see
Duke.
this.
He looks like him, and he just tweeted out and said, "I was told you can't win here." I love it. I
I love
love
that
it.
too. You got to, I think, starts at the top. I mean, a little bit of swagger goes a long way, especially from your top guy. I mean, he's certainly building something there in Oski. It looks like it's his third. I'm checking out his profile. It's his third year. They've been 4-6 last 2 years. So probably just take a little while, get his guys in, and like I said, I highlighted some younger guys there. It seems like there's some whatever he's selling, they're buying down there in Oski. So tip of the cap to Coach Mark
Yeah, I think
Benavidez.
Benavides, I think, is it is, but
Yeah.
it the shot they gave him when you first look at it, you're like, oh, Manny Diaz is coaching in Oskaloosa. Um, but I just love the hubris. I mean, that's how you bring notoriety to your program. Kids like to play for coaches that have swagger, and
Absolutely.
I think it's great. So I think it's really interesting looking at the schedule. Next week we're going to pick. I'm sure we're going to get Drake in the mix. A couple of games we didn't get a chance to get to this Drake's, played South Dakota State, and then this next Saturday they probably should have just stayed in South Dakota and took classes remotely because they're going to
They
drive up
should
the
have.
road to go to Vermilion to play South Dakota, who
Right.
again is I think they might be number 4 in the country, right? In FCS.
That sounds right. I mean, that whole damn conference
Yeah.
is just full of wagons. So
Yeah.
the WIAC of FCS, yes, the SEC of the SES.
Yep. And so
I'm
if
looking
they
at that line too, JD. They actually got a line for that. Right now it's dogs plus 15.5 on FanDuel.
yeah. Oh, there you can actually bet that one. Yeah, that's right, because
Yeah.
it's FCS. Um, man, Drake looked good. I don't know if their quarterback's going to be back, but that kid they had week 1 from Wisconsin, from Kettle Moraine, he could chuck it. If
Right.
he's healthy, shoot, I might bet that game. And think about it. Here's Drake, 15 and a half at minus at South Dakota. I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but if the later in the year, if the UNI Panthers are playing up there, I'll bet they get more than 15. And Drake is non-scholarship. So
Yeah.
that
I
just shows
mean,
you what they're building at Drake.
Vegas knows just better than anyone, more better than me and you. So 15 and a half, kind of on the surface, kind of made my eyes pop a little bit. But we talk about what they just did against the Jacks. So 15 and a half, I don't think it's too absurd. And I mean, I haven't watched a whole lot of South Dakota. Other than they kind of rolled over and died after the first quarter, playing down there in Ames a few weeks ago. So I think 15 and a half, I feel like I got to bet them.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's not unreasonable to think Drake's going to be in that game, which
Not at
is
all.
really saying something because they don't have a scholarship to give. And
Mm-hmm.
South Dakota and South Dakota State, I believe, have 2 of the top 4 budgets in all of FCS. They're
That's
spending like
how.
six. They're like spending $6 million a year on football. Now I know that's not Iowa numbers, but
That's
that's
still,
big time numbers.
but I mean, you're probably gonna get some. For example, my next door office neighbor at work, her brother was buried on the depth chart at U of I, and now he's starting at South Dakota. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of players that they're bringing in there. So, yeah, tip of the cap to Coach Woodley. Can't say enough good things about the
Yep.
about the
Well,
start.
I think that's going to be a good one. Before we go, we didn't do our rants. I guess I'll kind of start this week. You know, I'm